Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Need for Speed Underground, and where we begin this episode with a trio of events, as we have got a drift event, a sprint event, and a circuit event. And because I know very well that front-wheel drive cars literally ain't worth shit when it comes to drift events, I am now going to switch over from the Integra to the Toyota Supra. At least a car that will give me a better shot at winning than what the Integra did. And I think whilst I'm here... Actually no, I'm gonna keep the livery as it is. So, let's begin with our drift for 5th. You gotta beat these 3 drifters to move up in the rankings. I'd also imagine this is probably gonna take me a few attempts, and also for me to basically get used to a car that has a very loose rear end. Most likely, but anyway. Let's see how we go. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna Yeah. Well, that was easily a run to forget. Okay, let's try this again, since I've decided to restart and make sure that this time around I can actually put together a drift race-winning run. A run that's actually meant to be what this car represents. Especially since, well, I basically put together a run on the previous attempt that was, quite honestly, so bad it was basically terrible. Terrible to the point of where it could literally be labelled as ugly. That's just how much I fell behind, but now I'm actually ahead. And hopefully if it's possible I can actually stay ahead. I have the devil's number in my score, or at least I did. Again, resetting my car because there's no other way I could get out of there without the game just resetting me anyway. This, by the way, does happen a lot, where my car is literally just facing the wall and I've got no other option but to just quite literally see myself facing the wall. It just feels like this car pretty much has a magnet attached to it, or basically all rear-wheel drive cars when it comes to coming affronts with the walls. That just seems to be what's happening here, because I can't really seem to put together decent scoring runs without heading straight for the wall, and most of the time not hitting it, or just basically coming mere inches away from hitting it. Will this be enough? I hope to God it is enough, because if it isn't...
Did you hear? Eddie's hung up up his driving gloves. He says there's no one out there who's worth racing against. Until someone proves themselves, he's just gonna relax.
Oh, okay. So, I take it what that means is Eddie is now at the top of all the rankings. I think that's what that means. Anyway. So, we've now got some level 2 flag vinyls. Also got the DC Sports vinyl and the iBack Springs vinyl. Yeah. And, hey! We've now unlocked the Mazda RX-7. A car which I'll no doubt be using at some point. And we're now in the top 5 for the drift race rankings. Even though I did choose to restart. But either way, that doesn't matter. Because we are now 5th in the drift rankings, baby. Now I gotta try and see if I can get up to 5th in the other rankings. Is this a rankings race?
Hey punk, go figure. You're actually surviving. Well, that ain't gonna last much longer.
Ah, okay. So that's what it is. Anyway, let's get on with Late Night Rush. The roads are packed with traffic tonight. Win tonight to get ranked number 5 in sprints. I almost wonder if sooner or later I might consider getting myself a phone from Sprint. Although, since I don't live in America, I know the possibility of me getting a phone from Sprint is unlikely. Unless I go on the Sprint website and see if they have any phones available, but I'm pretty sure they won't. I swear to God, if that happens one more time, I'm literally just gonna pretend this never happened and just reload the whole thing. Because this is just becoming derogatory. This is just literally becoming derogatory of everything I've worked for. If I lose this race again, then that is when I'm seriously going to consider just erasing all of this and starting over again. Just starting over from where I left off. Because I don't think this car is going to beat the S2000. I just don't think it's going to do it. I'm also pretty sure I've lost this race now twice before, and I was literally the runner-up to the S2000. I will literally be dejected if I lose to the S2000 again, because it seems pretty obvious that, to me at least, the S2000 feels like the car to use in order to pull this off. However, with this run, I'm willing to make an exception, because I actually seem to be running good for once, and aside from me running good, I'm actually running out in the lead. So, at this stage at least, everything does look to be swinging back in my favour. Just depends on knowing if I can actually stay here this time. And I do. I didn't even see where the finish line was. Well, it took me a few... Well, I think that took me 3 failed attempts to get to the end, and the S2000 finished last. Then it was the Focus in second, and the Civic finished third. Well, we got there eventually. Although I don't think we would have got on any further magazines than what we were already on. So you know. Time now for the circuit race. 5 laps.
Hey, punk, go figure. You're actually surviving. Well, that ain't gonna last much longer.
5 laps of National Rail Reverse. Kurt's brought some powerful friends with him tonight. Show him that you're not impressed. I probably will be impressed. Because at this stage, I will be amazed if anything at this point in the game does not impress me. Okay, so we've got another Supra, an MX-5, and there's also Kurt himself in the Acura. Well, at least I can say it gives me a bit more of a chance now, compared to before. Because I actually feel like I'm doing something properly for once. Plus, it should also be mentioned, the Supra does have the reputation of a GT touring car. A car itself which has no doubt had a ton of success in touring car racing across the 90s, and is also a car that, as ironic as it might be, was not officially revived until more recently. And even though the current Supra is not as much alike to the previous model, I'd still say the current model is pretty cool. And Kurt at the moment is pulling away from me, so that pretty much tells you how much better handling his car really is compared to mine, but oh, okay. I'm now right behind him, apparently. He must have wrecked at the same time I did, and basically that was what got me closer to him. At least I can say I'm not the only one who suffers from these sorts of things, but either way, it doesn't matter because he takes the shortcut. That's not going to help him, and that is going to be my ticket to leading the second lap, and I do, as I lead the first lap by 1.76 seconds. Getting a little bit loose there through the tunnel, but able to get back in control of the soup. And right now, things were going well, but it looks like I might have to concede a defeat before I actually win this. But it doesn't matter because Kurt still takes the shortcut. And whilst he's doing that, that's going to allow me to lead yet another lap here at National Rail, and I fuck myself. I basically clipped the outside wall, and then suddenly there was this delivery truck that just basically came out in front of me and blindsided me. As in, I just could not see him. And now the other Supra is leading. Hopefully, I will manage to catch back up to him. I can just never get through these corners. If there's any corners which I really suck at, this section of corners no doubt has to be it. Really thought for sure I was going to sneeze there for a moment, but somehow I didn't. Well, at least I can say the AI don't tend to be as consistent as they look, as I do now manage to somehow come back and lead my 3rd straight lap. And now, I just gotta make sure I lead the final lap. As it looks to be a battle between myself and Takashi. Oh, between myself and Brad. Excuse me. My mistake. So, on the brakes there, and it looks like I've just lost it. Because I hit the same wall again. Although then again, I am closing in, and I managed to retake the lead, apparently. I managed to retake the lead after Brad had a wreck of his own, but let's see if I can hold on to this. And it looks like I'm going to. And I do. Somehow. Don't know how I did it, but I somehow came through to win it first try. And Kurt finished in last. So my simple advice to him is, get fucked. Also, I noticed it's a 1-2 for the Supras. Stefan 3rd and Kurt, well, he was last. And we've got ourselves another unique vinyl. Hey! We've now unlocked the Nissan 350Z. I'm pretty convinced my next event is going to be a drag race. And if that is the case, then... yeah, just as I thought. It's Klutch time. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna get myself a shot of the Supra here. Just because I figure there might be the opportunity for me to beat the 350Z, but if there isn't, then I'm basically gonna save the game before doing anything else, because I really want to see if it is possible for me to actually beat it using the Supra. And if that doesn't become presentable, then my simple option is I'll just switch over to the 350Z. It's Klutch time.
Yo, Lucky, you got your rabbit's foot with you? You're gonna need it, because I got some dope stuff under the hood now. Tell me how my exhaust smells from back there, sucker.
The 5 spot is up for grabs in this drag. Word has it that if you knock Klutch off his perch again, he'll hang him up for good this time. Let's try and see how this goes. Maybe I can manage to come out on top. Basically, pull this rabbit out of the hat. And beat him. As well as also winning the event overall, but we'll wait and see. In other words, I really don't know what would be a better choice at this stage. How did I not wreck? I've got no idea what happened there, but I somehow didn't wreck and
I'm done. Benito.
I honestly did not think I was gonna be hit by a delivery truck and yet somehow come back to win this. Basically, mere feet from the finish line. Did not think that was gonna happen. But anyways, I guess that means I beat the time. I guess that means I won my way into 5th position, and Klutch has now forfeited. And now we have got a time trial. However, as I now know, the Supra is not fast enough to make it, so this is where I'm gonna switch cars now, because I need something quicker. And by that, well, if I can find it, here it is. I'm gonna switch over to the 350Z. And gonna save the game, so I don't lose anything. Why not? I figured this is probably the best shot I'm gonna get of getting this out my system. And now let's go.
Alright, I'm gonna give you something sweeter than candy for that car of yours. Just win the next race.
And we need to head to Spillway in 2 minutes, 16 seconds. Hopefully, since I've now switched over to the 350Z, I might have more of a chance. Especially since I know this car very nearly beat me in a drag race once before. Okay, so I've now switched over to the Mazda RX-7 for this, because I've decided I need a car that's going to be more likely to zoom through this than the 350Z, and at the moment this car seems to be ticking my boxes because I'm already this far out ahead. And oh, so now the game decides to give me air points, which ironically it was not giving me before until now. But anyway. Yep, I think I found the right combination now, in terms of the car to use here, because I actually seem to be doing much better all of a sudden. And I feel like I've actually got a shot this time. So maybe this could be the run. It certainly looks like it could be the run, but we'll wait and see. And now I've fucked it. Unless I can somehow come back with this. But I'll be amazed if I do. Well, I still have some time on the board, so it might be possible. I've certainly got a bit more time on the board compared to what I did have. Oh yeah, I'm definitely making it this time. I made it by a country mile. Compared to what I was expecting. Well, I think I beat the time trial. So I suppose that's something. Oh, we get a choice of spoilers. Okay. Let's see how we go.
My upgrades definitely bump it up a notch. Take your pick.
Okay. Alright, so we've got the Dual GT, the Duotech, and the Katana. I quite like the Duotech because it's partly made from carbon. You know what? I'm gonna go with Duotech because this seems to fit the bill. You know what? I'm going to save this for the next episode because, well, I've been recording this one now for over an hour, and, well, I kind of want to give myself a break for a few minutes and get myself a drink. But then I'll be right back, so yeah. Another episode is done, and let's now move on to the next episode. Keep it coming.